Welcome to the Postgame Show presented by Ricoh. I'm Gabriella DiGiovanni here with Fran Duffy and Ike Reese. It's a long day in South Philadelphia, fellas. Eagles lose this one 20-10. Very disappointing. A lot of opportunities on the field today. And the Eagles just couldn't capitalize. Ike, initial thoughts?
Yeah, just a team that looked like they came out sort of flat today. And I'm a little surprised at that, considering it's their first home game in almost a month, coming off a tough loss last week against Dallas. I thought this team would come out and play with the energy that we're accustomed to watching them play with. But in that first half, really couldn't get anything going offensively. Defense couldn't get off the field. They let New Orleans basically control the clock the entire first half. And the crowd could never find anything to hang their hat on to bring energy into the game, not into the third quarter. So I look at that game and I say, man, just the first half, it seemed like we weren't there physically and mentally into the game. And by the time they got into it in the second half, New Orleans had already had enough confidence that they could win the game and we could never pull up to catch up to them.
Yeah, I mean, to your point on that slow start, it was late in the second quarter when the Eagles got their first forced incompletion of Andy Dalton and Taysom Hill, and that was that interception by Josiah Scott. It was a couple minutes later when the offense got their first down in that completion to Dallas Goedert. So when you look at it, both sides of the ball started slow. The defense was able to bounce back. The second half defensively was very, very strong, but the offense just could not get out of that hole, just could not generate any kind of consistency, both in the run game or in the pass game, to be able to move the ball against the Saints defense.
Well, with that, we're going to head over to Lincoln Financial Field, where Eagles insider Dave Spadaro joins us live. Dave, disappointing day for the Eagles, to say the least. What set the tone early on?
The Saints get the football. They convert 3 of 4 third downs. They are playing small ball, just kind of what you'd expect them to play. And they had a drive that took 8 minutes off the clock. And then the Eagles offense came on the field and there were 2 quarterback sacks. And that really set the tone. And that was kind of everything that went wrong for the Eagles throughout the day. And I think Fran and I kind of covered it perfectly. The Eagles, unable to get any kind of rhythm, really didn't get the run game going except for that little spurt early in the second half. Gardner Minshew, ineffective throwing the football. Curiously throwing it at Marshawn Lattimore. Certainly at the end there, that cost the Eagles. But setting the tone was clearly that first drive, that first quarter. The Saints wanted to play keep away from the Eagles, and they did that effectively. And then the Eagles' the pass blocking just could not keep a good front away from Gardner Minshew.
Jalen Hurts or not, there was nothing about this Eagles offense today that mirrored what they've shown in the first 16 weeks of the season. What was the contribution to kind of the breakdown of this offense today?
A lack of effectiveness blocking for Gardner. Gardner did not play a good football game today. Looked rushed back there, looked just uncomfortable. A series of false start pre-snap, illegal man downfield penalties, sloppy play. And we really haven't seen a lot of that this year. We've seen turnovers like we saw in Dallas, like we saw against Washington. That really wasn't the issue today. The issue was just the Eagles kept killing themselves with penalties. I thought certainly that the holding call against Landon Dickerson, very questionable, if in fact that was on him. We were speculating that might have been on Jordan Mailata and they called the wrong number, but that took away a touchdown. So your quarterback needs to key things. Your quarterback needs to come up with big plays, and Gardner just didn't come up with big plays other than a touchdown pass to A.J. Brown. So very unusual. I fourth down at midfield, something that the Eagles have done very effectively, quarterback sneaking with Jalen Hurts. Once again, didn't work with Gardner Minshew, and it is not just the offensive line, and it's not just the players pushing from behind. It is a man who can squat 600 pounds driving for that yard and a half to get the first down.
Now, what you didn't want to see happen was it all coming down to Week 18 against the Giants for the Eagles to lock up the NFC East and that #1 seed in the NFC. Going into this week now, what's the big picture?
Yeah, I mean, look, if you were to tell Eagles fans that you have a chance in Week 18 to go into a game, win at home against a Giants team that has nothing to play for, and then you clinch a bye week and you get the NFC coming through Lincoln Financial Field, hey, I think every Eagles fan back in August would have taken that. Certainly, this scenario has changed a bit here. And now the Eagles will see what the decision at quarterback will be. That will be a dominated theme at the post-game press conference here. But a win, the big picture, Ella and Fran and Ike, is a win on Saturday or Sunday. We'll see what the game is going to be, whether the NFL flexes this game out at home against a Giants team that you absolutely dismantled, and the Eagles win a franchise record 14th game, and you clinch the number 1 seed. And that is, you step away from everything. That is the big takeaway. And if it is just as simple as, Jalen Hurts back at quarterback, the offense is back in gear, then you hope that's the issue. But who knows? I mean, the offense just didn't play well today. Eagles need a win on Saturday or Sunday, and then we'll see what this team looks like going into the playoffs.
All right, Dave, well, we'll certainly have our work cut out for us this week as we kind of dive into all the stories leading up to Week 18. That was Eagles insider Dave Spadaro live from Lincoln Financial Field. Digging into a little bit about what he was saying a lot of it comes down to the offensive performance. Look, the defense held the Saints to 20 points, and really, I mean, that pick 6 is also not on the defense. So they did their job in terms of trying to get the Saints in uncomfortable situations, get them off the field when they can, but it came down to that offensive execution that just couldn't happen today.
Yeah, the first half, listen, the Saints were able to control the time of possession. We needed to get off the field. Reminded me a lot of that Washington game in the first half where the Saints were just getting positive yards on the early downs and got into a lot of manageable third down situations that they can convert in the first down and extend those drives. But to your point, they only gave up 13 points, able to get a big interception from Josiah Scott right before the half, because if they get 20 right there, I'm really nervous going into the locker room. But as it was, they stopped them there and then held them without any points in the second half. Obviously, the pick 6 that Gardner gave up. But we needed more opportunities to take the ball away from the Saints. That's the one thing I will say. When your offense is struggling like our offense was struggling, we needed a short field to sort of work with and to get that ball off of Andy Dalton. Great job getting to him, getting sacks, but I wish we could have been able to get a strip sack, get a loose ball out there. That's the only other thing I would point at from the defensive standpoint is when you know your offense is struggling, you got to find a way to take the ball away to give your offense a short field.
And that's the thing, is we could talk about the pass rush defensively, but the pass protection, and not all of this, by the way, is on the offensive line. 5 sacks in the first half of Gardner Minshew, guys, and that, to me, is a big part of the reason why they went 4 straight drives with 3 and outs. They have got to do a better job of making sure that the ball gets out of Gardner Minshew's hands a little bit faster. We talked about that last week against Dallas. They did a great job of getting the ball out fast. And in this game, too often, Gardner was a little bit indecisive in terms of getting the ball out of his hands, and it resulted in him hitting the ground too many times. That set them behind the sticks, and now they were trying to working uphill really too often in this game, especially in the first half. A big reason why that offense just could not get off the ground.
Only 67 rushing yards today. Against the Saints team, they don't do extremely well against the run. So what do you think went wrong today? Why did the Eagles not maybe lean into the run game? Did they find opportunities in the passing game and they stuck with that? Where do you think it kind of went wrong?
Well, I think the game plan was to throw the ball when they came in. You're looking at an offense that's coming off a throw for 300 and something yards last week against the Dallas Cowboys. That gives the offense of play callers and play designers the confidence to stick with the throwing coming into the next week. But I believe the difference was the Saints played a lot of man coverage in that first half, and you see the lack of confidence in letting the ball go. When you're playing zone, you can find windows to throw the ball in. But when you got man coverage out there, if a quarterback doesn't necessarily have full confidence that he can get the ball there, then he's not going to let it go. And that's what I think Gardner was doing in that first half, holding on to the ball instead of just letting it go and trusting what his eyes see. But they got a lot more man coverage in that first half. And then once you get down, it's hard for an offense to say we're going to stick with the run now. So when you start to struggle now in your mind, you're saying we need to get chunk plays, we need to put points on the board because this team is used to scoring. They came into this game as the number 1 scoring team in the league. And while we know they can move the ball on the ground, they want to throw the ball through the air. When you got the weapons, Devontae Smith, A.J. Brown, Dallas Goedert, you're going to want to throw the ball. And when you're struggling to move it, it almost puts more pressure on you to throw the football. So sometimes you get caught in the middle of that when you're in the game.
Yeah, I think the game flow, the game momentum certainly plays a big part of that. Only 17 plays in the first half. And so when you only have 17 plays in one half of football, you're going to struggle to really generate a lot of volume on the ground. So the second drive of the game, they came out. Miles went for +4. Miles went for +5. That brought up 3rd and 1. They ran an RPO. Gardner Minshew held onto the football and took a sack on 3rd down, right? So that just, again, speaks to everything kind of working in concert together. If the pass game is not working and you're not moving the sticks, then all of a sudden those runs aren't always going to be available to you because the next drive they came out and it's a 1st down sack, right? You drop back to pass. Now it's second and 16. It's tough to be able to run the football in that kind of a scenario. So I think when you look at it from a total volume standpoint, they just struggled to really kind of generate enough where they said, okay, we feel good about running the football. Miles went for over 5 yards a carry today, but you just didn't have the volume there just because of the flow of the game.
And Devontae Smith, kind of under the radar, had another 100-yard day, his third straight.
I didn't even realize that.
I didn't realize that either. 9 receptions for 115 yards. He was averaging 12.8 yards per catch. So he's, again, being this pivotal piece to this offense, but where the Eagles where the Eagles have found success this season is in the red zone.
Yeah.
And that was an issue. They couldn't get to the red zone, and when they were there, they also couldn't capitalize.
Yeah, give that Saints defense a little bit of credit. They would clamp down when the Eagles got close to being down there. But you're right, between the 20s, it seemed like we could move the ball, at least in the second half anyway.
Right.
They seemingly moved the ball. Devontae with several big catches again today. A.J. Brown, that play A.J. Brown made, that's why he gets paid the big bucks. He can take a play like that and take it to the house. But I think the other momentum killer was the holding call.
I was just going to say 8 penalties.
Yeah, the holding call on Landon Dickerson, which I'm not sure that was a hold there to call back the Kenny Gainwell touchdown. That was also deflating. Here's another thing. It's something about momentum with players. They need to see positive reinforcements out there on the field. And they didn't get enough of that in order to build the momentum, build on that momentum. I thought as an offense, we didn't look as confident snap to snap, down to down. It was almost like they were waiting for somebody to make something happen. That's why I thought when the A.J. Brown touchdown happened, I'm like, okay, here we go. They finally got a big play. Maybe that's going to spark something. But then you can't have the pick six. When you got that pick six, that was pretty much the dagger right there.
Yeah, once you were 2 scores down in that game with all the struggles you'd had moving the football earlier, it was just going to be tough to be able to surmount that. But to Ike's point, I think momentum in this game, very, very real, right? Not only could they not generate positive momentum, but from those false starts, the negative moment, things started to snowball, to go in the opposite way, which you're trying to avoid at all costs. The Eagles just could not get out of their own way offensively here in this game. 8 penalties is tough to bounce back from.
I think it's crazy when you think about the beginning of the season. The Eagles, they were breaking NFL records and leading the league in second quarter points. Think about the first half they had today. I think they had, 2 yards of offense in the first quarter. They had 61 total yards of offense by the half, 4 straight 3-and-outs. Their first down didn't come until, like you said, 11 seconds left. And you think about what they were able to do in, honestly, the majority of the season, to not put any points on the board, not cause any type of stress to the Saints defense. When I asked Dave kind of what broke down, is it all because of Jalen Hurts? Does he bring that spark to this offense?
Yeah, he does. He does. And you hate to put everything on one player because this offense, we saw him last week, move the football against Dallas. That's a formidable defense. I just think when you look at the quarterback position, they control so much of the momentum out there that if the biggest thing Jalen did this year is he's playing on schedule. He's getting the ball out on time. He's getting the ball into his playmakers' hands. When they run the RPO, he knows how to do the ride and decide. He knows when to keep it, when not to keep it. And as a defense, you're on your heels because you're worried about that guy at the quarterback position also hurting you with his legs. We didn't have that element the last 2 weeks. Last week, they were able to take advantage of Dallas' secondary, which is not a very good secondary, throwing the football. But the running aspect of this offense has been missing for 2 straight weeks because the quarterback element isn't there. The quarterback run element isn't there. And I thought Gardner in the first half he didn't trust his eyes enough in the first half to be able to just let that ball go with confidence.
And not only that, but you talk about if the run game is here with Jalen Hurts, and then it comes down to here when you lose Jalen, and then the pass game is here. And now all of a sudden it shrinks down to this because you don't have that ability to consistently attack all 3 levels. Yep. Now all of a sudden your offense you shrink exponentially there in both phases. That's going to hurt you. And you lose Lane Johnson as well. Both sides of it. That is going to impact the way your offense performs. But the Eagles have to figure that out. Look, next week is must win if they want this number 1 seed.
Absolutely. Let's go to some good news on the day. How about some stats from this Eagles defense? Brandon Graham getting his first ever double-digit sacks. He got number 10 and number 11 today.
Just to make sure he got it.
Yes. Hassan Reddick is only a sack and a half behind Nick Bosa, who leads the NFL in sacks. Now, going into this game, this team as a whole was 12 sacks away from breaking the NFL record set by the Bears in the 80s with 72 team sacks. They got 17 sacks today, 5th straight week with 6 or more sacks. They need 5 more, week 18, to break that record. But this defense, week in and week out, even when times that they've struggled, they've been the bright spot for this football team.
They really have been, and they kept them in this game as long as they could, right? And they gave the Eagles a chance to get back in late. Even when we didn't pick up the first down on the 4th down, the sneak there, the defense was able to get New Orleans to punt the ball right back to them, and that's when the pick 6 happened. But you're right, Ella, the defense, Hassan Reddick, Javon Hargrave, you look at our man BG, so happy for him to get double-digit sacks for the first time in his career. Fletcher was even in on the party. Here's a big sack from Fletcher right here. This defensive line has been the strength of this team all year long. Even with the high-powered numbers the offense puts up, I've said from day one, I thought this defense was the strength of the team, and it starts with those guys up front. When they typically come to the party ready to play, you're going to have a chance to win the game. And there's so much talent out there on that defensive line. The fact that these guys can play 35 snaps basically amongst them, and that's the high number amongst these guys. They're constantly fresh when they come in and out of the game. And you get a quarterback like Andy Dalton back there who's not very mobile. I kind of had a feeling today would be a good day for this defense.
You know me, Ella. And our viewers will say, like, Fran, you're too much about 3rd down.
Wait,
we'll
Fran,
talk
we're
about
going
it
to come
later.
back to this. Gardner Minshew's at the podium.
Man, he got you.
John, we good? From your vantage point, without looking at the film, obviously, well, how would you describe it? What would you say was the offensive problems, especially in the first half?
Yeah, I mean, we just couldn't get rolling. You know, it's one of those things you just try to get that first down, and we kept just shooting ourselves in the foot and getting our own way. And they're a good defense too. You know, there's not much room for error when you play a team like that. And yeah, we just didn't do enough to.
You feel like you were holding the ball a little bit too long at times that led to some of those sacks?
Yeah, probably so. You know, our offensive line's a really good offensive line. You know, and yeah, I probably did hold the ball too much on some of those.
It looked like you
not watching the film.
Oh, I'm sorry. It looked like you started to get it rolling in the second half. Did you do something differently in the second half?
No, it was the same stuff, you know, and I mean, we just started hitting. You know, guys were getting open. We were running the ball well. You know, we were protecting. Everybody was doing a good job. And, you know, we just had little things to here, there, penalty, take a sack, you know, whatever it was, get in our own way. And, you know, frustrating when games go like that.
Did you do anything coverage-wise that was different than what you guys were expecting?
Not necessarily, man. They did a good job in coverage. You know, they're like we've said all week. You know, they're a really good defense, and they did a great job today. And we just didn't do enough to overcome it.
Were you comfortable early with the balance of run versus pass?
Yeah, I was comfortable for sure. We had I think we had a great plan. You know, that wasn't the issue. We just didn't execute the way we should have.
What happened on the interception at the pick six? Was that like
Yeah,
communication or?
man, it was. You know, we ran that same play earlier. It was the same coverage, and they made a great adjustment to it. Jumped the route. You know, I should have seen that leverage. You know, when we made the motion. I assume since it was the same coverage, he's going to play it the same. But he made a great adjustment and made the play to beat us.
On the QB sneak, that's been a money play for you guys this year. What do you wish went differently or could have done differently?
Like 6 inches, you know. Like, I mean, I wish that would have happened, but like that, you know, that was tough. I don't know what to do differently on that one, you know. Yeah.
I think the biggest difference.
I'm sorry. The passing through to A.J. Brown, the touchdown and everything, what was kind of working there and you know, what kind of opened that up because you guys weren't really, you know, going deep in the first half?
Yeah, no. And that was part of it. You know, we weren't really going deep. I think they were sitting on some of our stuff. So it's a good chance to get A.J. the ball down the field, you know. You know, wish we probably would have got a couple more to him, you know, throughout the game.
What were the solutions, or what was going on the sideline when you have 3 4 and outs on your first 4 possessions?
Yeah, no. I mean, it's not panic. Like, we never panicked or stressed or pressed. You know, we just kept, you know, we believed in the plan, we believed in the guys, and, you know, just couldn't make it happen.
What's the biggest differences between last week and this week on, you know, some of the throws?
I don't know, man. I'll, you know, for that one, I really have to go watch film and get a better understanding. Yeah.
So between the first half, second half, obviously you came out, you guys seemed to get some things going with tempo, things like that. Were there significant adjustments made at halftime?
No, it was the same plan, you know, going in. You know, it's like we were saying, is getting that first down, getting us into that situation where we can go tempo, where we can start moving the ball like that. It just has to get itself going, and finally kind of caught it in the second half a little bit.
Did you take all the reps this past week?
Yeah.
Practice.
What's your big takeaway from this game?
I don't know, man. I'll have to watch that film. Really, shoot, we had chances to win, didn't make them, or didn't take them when we had them. So that's another one we're gonna have to go figure out.
You still have one more game to get that one win you need.
Yeah.
What's the mood of the team like?
No, we have everything, we've ever wanted still in front of us. It's all right here. Going into a big game next week, we're all excited to get out there. Yeah, that's what this team doesn't flinch. We've gone through a lot. Adversity's hitting us now, and that's okay. We're ready for it.
23, Lattimore hadn't played since week 5. Were you guys expecting him to play?
We had, kind of heard all week he might be playing. Yeah.
Are you expecting Jalen to come back next week?
I don't know. I'm not him or a doctor, so.
Let's take a few more. What's he been like? Your conversations with him been like throughout the week? How supportive has he been for you? And what's that been like?
He's been great, man. Jalen just wants the team to win, and he's going to do everything, whether it's, him out there or me, he's going to help, and really, couldn't be more grateful or appreciative of, having him in the room.
Was there a common theme on the false starts?
No, that was the thing. There was 3 different things on that one drive that happened, so it was, that was frustrating, and, that just can't happen.
When a teammate like Josh Sweat goes down in the manner he did, how impactful was that to the sideline to you guys?
Yeah, it's hard, man. A guy that you're with every day, you care about, goes down, you don't know, what's going on. She obviously, care for him and worry about him, and I think it's one of those deals it could be any one of us, any play, so it's pretty sobering. But we're just all, thinking about him, hoping everything's okay.
Thanks, Gardner. Thanks for having Nick come in.
You went into the locker room. What did you say to the guys after the game?
Our goal from the very beginning has just always been about taking it one day at a time. And trying to go 1-0 each day in attempts to go 1-0 this week. And this week we got it. Obviously, it was disappointing what we did today, coaching, playing, everything. But next week we'll have a chance to win the division title at home.
Why did the offense perform so poorly in the first half?
I mean, I think you got to give credit, obviously, to that defense. That's a good, well-coached defense. Excuse me. With good players. Obviously, we didn't put the players in good enough position to succeed, and we didn't execute well enough. So it's always going to be those two things. Obviously, I'm going to have to watch the tape and see what's going on. But we didn't really have a rhythm going, in that first half. I think we had three and outs or whatever, how many 3 and outs there was, and in one of them we got way behind the sticks, and just when you're not converting on third down, and I mean it's hard to convert on the one that was third and forever, but when you're not converting on third down and you're not getting drives sustained, it's hard to get in a rhythm, and that's exactly what happened when we didn't get a first down. Again, why were we? Did that happen? Again, it's always going to be coaching. It's always going to be execution, and then obviously give them credit as well.
What's the concern level that you guys aren't playing at your best right now, but the postseason?
Yeah, we'll take it. We'll take one day at a time. I mean, we're going to try to get better from this one right here. I don't get too high when we play a really good game. I don't get too high or low when we play a really bad game. We played a really bad game today offensively. So we'll just have to look and get better from it. But I'm not ever going to be somebody that is going to hit a panic button. We're going to double down on the things we think are true and that we know are true, and we're going to get better from this. And that's all we can do. I mean, we got to own what we just did, what we put out there, and get better from it by owning it, correcting the mistakes, and with great detail.
How much do you think the bad holding call on Landon Dickerson affected the Eagles?
No, it's never going to be about one play ever. It's never going to be about one guy. It's never going to be about one coach. It's never going to be about one play. A lot of plays that went into us not winning that football game. First of all, again, credit to New Orleans, but we didn't play our best game. I think that's known, but also they prevented us from playing our best game. So whether I thought that was a hold or wasn't a hold, that doesn't matter, and that's never going to be it's never just one play that defines a game.
What did you see from Gardner today, just from your first call too?
Yeah, obviously he's going to want plays back. We're all going to want plays back, right? And so I'll have to look at the tape right there. Obviously, 23 made a good play on the interception in a critical time, and on that one. So I'll look at what that really looked like up close. I don't want to comment quite yet. I mean, obviously it wasn't Gardner's best game, and it wasn't our best game as an offense. It wasn't even close, right? Gardner's capable of playing better. We're capable of coaching better, and we're capable of playing better as an entire unit. I haven't got any update there. Just haven't had a chance to talk about it yet. I think he's doing. All I just know is that he's doing better. And Bob, do you want to add anything to that?
Yeah, I mean, positively, he's going to be released tonight, so that's a positive thing. If we get anything further than that, we'll let you know.
Okay.
Why accept the penalty instead of taking 3rd and 6 on that first drive?
The one that they ended up getting the third and short.
3rd and 2.
Yeah. Just wanted I wanted them to be in a little bit more of a down and distance, 2nd and long. Attempts to go to 3rd and long didn't work. And when it doesn't work, I got to own that, understand that. I really didn't. I'm not beating myself up about that call, but I'm just trying to get them into 3rd and long and see if we can get a stop on 2nd and 12.
Nick, do you have any update on Jalen's health since we talked to you on Friday? Do you think he'll be able to play?
He was close this week. Obviously, we'll take it one day at a time. I mean, for me to say right now and today that, Jalen's playing or no, he's not playing, I don't think is fair to anybody. And so because so many things can happen in a week, and we're going to have to evaluate, we're going to have to see where he is. Nothing changes in that aspect of it. His health is the number one priority, and not putting him in a position that is going to risk his health. And so we'll evaluate that as the week goes, and obviously if he's ready to go, he'll play.
Guys, if you do get Jalen back for what's obviously going to be.
I'm sorry, say that again, Tim.
What's it going to mean for you guys, Nick, if you do get Jalen back for this biggest
Yeah, I mean, Jalen's been playing obviously really good football the entire year, and he's one of our better players, and and he's a leader of our football team. So it would, again, we'll see what happens, and it would obviously be good to have him back just because of the type of person and the type of leader he is.
He's cleared to play. Will he play?
I'm sorry.
If he's medically cleared to play, will Jalen Hurts play?
Yeah, if Jalen's able to go, he'll go.
A couple more.
I'm sorry.
On the QB sneak, what went wrong there, really?
Yeah, I'm gonna have to see that. There's a mess of bodies in there that there's pretty typical on that play. We've been pretty darn successful on that play this year, and it didn't work out on that particular one. I'm gonna have to look at that because there's just so many guys in the box, but give them credit. They stopped it and they made a play, and we didn't.
For most of the season, obviously, with not Gardner, you've had some setbacks. How humbling can the NFL be when?
Oh, sure, yeah. I mean, you always understand that. That's why you never want to get up and too up, and you don't want to get too down. And so we're here right now. We're 13-3 right now, and with a chance to go 14-3 next week to win the division. And so all our goals are in front of us. And anytime you lose a game, anytime you don't perform the way you think you should perform, you're gonna be upset. You're gonna be humbled. You're gonna be, but that's not a bad thing. You go back to work and you get better from it.
All right, last one.
On not having Lane, and I think there were 6 offensive line penalties. How much does that factor in?
I'll have to look at the what happened with some of the false starts. We'll have to look at what happened there, if it was a miscommunication or whatnot. But anytime you lose a guy like Lane, obviously it's the same thing what we talked about with Jalen. It's but that's the way this game is. But we feel like we have good depth. That guys are ready to play. We'll look at the tape, see how they played, and but obviously you always are going to miss guys that are the best at their position in the NFL. But that's never an excuse. We got guys that we really believe in. And we'll go out there, and whoever needs to play next week, we'll go out there and try to put them in the best positions to make plays, and I'm confident that we will.
All right, thanks.
Thanks, everybody.
Anyone else?
We just heard from Gardner Minshew, head coach Nick Sirianni, but just now in the locker room, Fletcher Cox spoke with reporters about how he felt seeing Brandon Graham get sack number 10.
I mean, it's so good for BG. I looked right in his eye, hugged him, and told him, congratulations, for him to do that, because we talk about it all the time. Obviously we're locker mates, and we always talk about just goals and things you want to get done, in your career and what's important. And we always tell him, it's just going to take time. And I couldn't really emotional for him, because I know how hard he's been working and how hard so many people counted him out. Even coming back, from that Achilles injury to have 11 sacks, is really big for a guy that's in his 13th season.
What was it to say?
Former Eagle Chris Long even took to Twitter, so excited for BG. He said, "I'm so happy to see BG thriving at this age, coming off his injury. Testament to how solid his foundation is. Great player." I mean, he's 34 years old. He came off of an Achilles injury, which a lot of times for players is a hard injury to come back from, and he's playing at an elite level this season.
Yeah, just been outstanding. And if you know BG, how can you not be a big fan of his and be happy for his individual success? Great in year 13, I believe.
13.
Year 13 to have his highest career sack total now at 11. Couldn't be happier for him. Ellie, you're absolutely right. When you talk about an injury like a torn Achilles, that's a career-ending injury, especially at that age. And to see him come back after a year off, playing the way that he is great to see. And he'll tell you he's a benefactor of a great group of players. So the fact that he can play a role that keeps him fresh, I think that also helps him out too.
And something he feels a lot of pride in that staff, but something else he feels just as much pride in, being 4th right now in the Walter Payton Man of the Year fan voting. You can go now on social media and make him number 1 on that list. All you have to do is mention Brandon Graham's name and the Walter Payton Man of the Year award on social media.
Yeah, get those votes in, Eagles fans. Well, we're going to stick with the BG theme here, and earlier today, Fran broke down BG's sack number 10 in this week's Ricoh Review.
For this week's Ricoh Review, let's take a look back at the record-breaking play where Brandon Graham was able to get into the backfield for the 10th sack of the season. He now is one of 4 players to have double-digit sacks on this Eagles defense. That is the first time that has happened in NFL history. Let's take a look at what happens here, because Brandon Graham's going to rush off the right defensive end spot. It's 3rd and 6, and you're going to see that the Eagles are playing straight man-to-man coverage across the board. So this is going to be a 4-man rush, and Brandon Graham is going to trace back when he gets behind the quarterback, Andy Dalton. The coverage is going to force Dalton to hold on to the football, but BG does not give up. He wants this sack more than anything, and you're going to see as we let this play run that his effort and his motor helps result in this sack. Again, the coverage is tight on the back end. Andy Dalton's got nowhere to go with the football, and Brandon Graham gets double-digit sacks for the first time in his career. You know how bad number 55 wanted that one. He's able to bring Dalton down. The record-breaking play there happening in the second quarter.
Now is your chance to vote for the Toyota Player of the Week. Go to PhiladelphiaEagles.com/Toyota Player of the Week to cast your vote and get a chance at a brand new Toyota. All right, Eagles fans, here we go. Top 3 nominees. We're starting it off with wide receiver A.J. Brown. He's still having a day with his guy playing quarterback or not. 4 receptions, 97 yards, and a touchdown for A.J. Brown. Look at him rip that one off, leave them in the dust. Next up, of course, BG. This is no surprise. He got sack number 10 and sack number 11 today. And last but certainly not least, Hassan Reddick. This was his second quarter sack. He added 2 on the day as well. What do we think?
Well, you know me. Normally I would go offense. That was a great play by A.J. Brown right there. But I got to go defense. And because, listen, his squad lost yesterday to TCU. He's having a rough weekend. But he did get a career high in sacks today. So I got to go with BG.
All right.
Got to go BG. And not only did he get the 10th sack, but he also got the 11th for
added on there, yes.
The 2-sack performance for BG. Let's give it to him.
I love it. All right, let's go to the Jamison Nightcap as we prepare for Week 18. The New York Giants are coming to town, and this one means everything, Eagles fans. The Giants clinched their playoff berth today with a 38-10 win over the Colts. What do we think? They're coming to town next week. We don't know when they're going to play yet. Hopefully we'll have that information soon.
Well, I did not imagine being here with so much riding on the line in the final game of the season, but here's where we are. The number 1 seed still available. Division title still available. Still in our hands. At home. Got to take care of business next week.
Yeah, well, we know this Giants team. The Eagles just played the Giants just a few weeks ago, week 14. And so, you know, it's going to be a heavy dosage of blitz, a heavy dosage of man-to-man coverage on offense. You got to be able to stop that run game led by Daniel Jones and Saquon Barkley. That's going to be the formula for success. We'll see if they can repeat what they did up at the Meadowlands just 6 weeks ago.
And we will have you covered all week long here through Eagles Entertainment to get you set for a Week 18 showdown. Thank you so much for tuning in, Eagles fans. The Birds, they still got another shot. Will they clinch the NFC East next week in that number 1 seed? Stay tuned. Thanks so much for watching, and go Birds.